From bridges that defy gravity to cities carved out of mountains, China isn't just building infrastructure. It's rewriting the laws of what humanity thought was possible. But before we explore the jaw-dropping truth behind the most mind-bending megastructures rising across China right now, hit that subscribe button because what you're about to see might just reshape the planet itself. In the United States, building infrastructure has become less of a national mission and more of a bureaucratic maze. The country that once defined modern engineering is now trapped in a cycle of delays, cost overruns, and red tape. Consider the Golden Gate Bridge, a marvel of Art Deco design and civil engineering, which opened to the public in 1937, completed in just 4 years during the Great Depression. That same decade saw the completion of the Hoover Dam, a monolithic symbol of American ambition. It tamed the Colorado River and lit up the Southwest, all while putting thousands to work. Fast forward nearly a century, and the legacy of rapid American infrastructure has buckled under political gridlock and litigation. Nothing captures this better than California's high-speed rail project. In 2008, it was sold to voters as a sleek bullet train racing from Los Angeles to San Francisco in under 3 hours. The vision was bold: leapfrog America into the age of high-speed rail, rivaling Japan's Shinkansen and France's TGV. The original promise? Operational by 2020, costing $33 billion. But as of 2025, 16 years later, what remains is a skeleton of that dream. The projected cost has quadrupled to $128 billion. The route has been shortened to the Central Valley, now nicknamed a train to nowhere, and the completion date is slipped to 2035, optimistically. In total, 400 miles of track. One line, 16 years, billions lost to mismanagement, lawsuits, and environmental reviews. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, China took a very different path. When China launched the Beijing-Tianjin high-speed railway in 2008, it wasn't just building a train, it was testing a national philosophy. That 30-minute, 117-kilometer link became the launchpad for a revolution in motion. Today, China operates over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, enough to encircle the Earth and then some. Their newest trains slice across landscapes at 421 kilometers per hour, or 261 miles per hour. Entire cities have been redesigned around them, creating what China calls one-hour economic circles, where urban centers are linked not by highways, but by bullet trains. These trains glide across seismic fault zones, icy plateaus, and some of the most remote corners of the country. What the US spends in dollars, China multiplies in kilometers. The cost per mile in China? Nearly 5 times cheaper than in the US. And this isn't a dream, it's already running. Every day. While America debates the past, China builds the future, one track at a time. Across the United States, the infrastructure that once carried a rising nation is now crumbling under its own weight. More than 42% of all bridges are past their design service life, representing nearly 231,000 aging structures, quietly deteriorating, rusting beneath the weight of trucks, time, and political inertia. The result? Constant repairs, frequent closures, and tragic collapses. In 2007, the I-35W bridge in Minneapolis failed during rush hour, killing 13 people. It was a wake-up call, but not enough. Today, the US faces $110 billion in annual economic losses due to decaying bridges, delayed freight, and diverted traffic. Yet building a new bridge in America can take 7 to 10 years. Why? Environmental assessments, public comment periods, lawsuits, permits, federal-state coordination, political turf wars, all before a shovel hits the ground. Now look at China. In Hebei province, engineers recently completed a feat that stunned even seasoned infrastructure experts. A 16,300-ton segment of the Pingjiang Bridge was rotated 180 degrees into place in just 85 minutes. It wasn't just fast, it was a world record. The secret? China's reliance on modular construction, pivot rotation technology, and a national infrastructure strategy where deadlines are mandates, not aspirations. Each bridge is prefabricated in segments off-site, tested for alignment, and then installed in record time using hydraulic jacks and AI-calibrated rotation arms. And while America debates so-called bridges to nowhere, China is busy building the future's pathways. Consider this: 8 of the 10 longest sea-crossing bridges in the world are in China. Not proposals, not drafts. Completed. In use. The crown jewel? The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, a 55-kilometer stretch of steel, concrete, and engineering defiance that connects three cities by sea and sky. This isn't theory, it's execution, and it's happening in real time. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge isn't just a marvel, it's a declaration. This 55-kilometer megastructure links three of China's most economically vital regions across the volatile waters of the Pearl River Delta. At its heart lies a feat once deemed impossible, a 6.7-kilometer undersea tunnel composed of 33 mammoth immersed segments, each the size of a football field and as tall as an 8-story building. These titanic segments had to be floated into position, sunk, aligned with millimeter-level precision, and sealed underwater, all while battling shifting tides, deep-sea currents, and the ever-looming threat of typhoons. At one critical moment in 2017, a tidal surge displaced two tunnel sections by 3 centimeters. The margin for error? Less than 1. A setback of this scale could have triggered months of delay, millions in lost labor, and catastrophic safety risks. Instead, Chinese engineers deployed a self-developed dynamic hydraulic compensation system which realigned the segments in under 15 minutes. This was an engineering breakthrough that many in the West considered science fiction. John Smith, a structural specialist with the American Society of Civil Engineers, famously remarked, "Achieving that kind of tolerance in those conditions, we didn't think it could be done." But it was. Not because of better luck, because of better systems. From seismic-proof pylons to anti-typhoon anchors, every element of the bridge was designed with resilience in mind. This wasn't a rushed job, it was a 14-year odyssey of innovation, precision, and sheer will. In the early 20th century, the Hoover Dam was America's crowning achievement, an icon of possibility carved into the Black Canyon of the Colorado River. Completed in 1936, it transformed the arid West, generating over 4.2 billion kilowatt-hours annually and taming one of North America's most unruly rivers. Nearly 90 years later, it still operates, but it now seems small compared to what China has constructed. Enter the Bahitan Hydropower Station, completed in 2021 on the Jinsha River, a major tributary of the Yangtze. At 289 meters tall, it towers over its surroundings like a concrete mountain. Its reservoir can hold more than 20 billion cubic meters of water, enough to fill 8 million Olympic-sized pools. But it's the output that stuns. 16 billion kilowatt-hours annually, more than 3 times the Hoover Dam's capacity. And it does so while cutting 248 million tons of carbon emissions each year, helping power entire provinces with clean, renewable energy. Bahitan is part of a multi-dam cascade system across southwestern China, coordinated by AI-driven grid management that balances output with demand in real time. And behind this operation is a single unified force. The China Three Gorges Corporation, which also built the Three Gorges Dam, still the largest hydroelectric plant in the world by capacity. The scale is mind-bending. The concrete mass of the Three Gorges Dam alone weighs more than 180 Empire State Buildings. It rerouted ecosystems, relocated over 1 million residents, and reshaped China's energy grid forever. When the United States runs out of flat land, it tends to build around the problem, raising costs, rerouting highways, and negotiating with nature rather than confronting it. But in China, that mindset doesn't apply. Here, they move mountains. Literally. The Lanzhou New area, nestled along the upper reaches of the Yellow River in Gansu Province, is one of the most ambitious land engineering projects ever attempted. To make space for this modern city, engineers didn't just pave over hills, they removed them. Over 700 individual hills were flattened, displacing more than 700 million cubic meters of earth in a feat of geoengineering so vast it can be seen from space. To put that into perspective, that's enough earth to fill 260,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools, or enough to bury the entire Manhattan skyline under a layer of soil several stories high. This wasn't just construction, it was landscape reprogramming on a continental scale. And all for what? A brand new city. Not a suburb, not an extension, but an entire self-sustaining urban zone designed from scratch across 86 square kilometers, nearly the size of Washington, D.C. This new urban ecosystem is projected to support 3.5 million residents, with zones dedicated to industry, research, agriculture, finance, and high-tech innovation. It's estimated to contribute $27 billion to China's GDP, turning once forgotten mountains into engines of growth. Not all infrastructure is made of concrete and cable. Some of it is intangible, built not to carry goods or people, but to project meaning, identity, and power. In Guangzhou, this philosophy comes to life in the Guangzhou Opera House, a surreal, gravity-defying structure designed by the late Zaha Hadid, the queen of futuristic form. The building doesn't rise, it flows. Inspired by pebbles smoothed by a river, its exterior mimics the organic contours of natural erosion, giving the illusion that the entire building was sculpted by water over millennia. Inside, the performance hall seats 1,800 guests, each placed with surgical acoustic precision. Every seat receives balanced sound with a margin of 2 decibels, an auditory feat typically reserved for the world's most elite venues. The sound seems to float, even at a whisper, reaching each ear with clarity. But beyond the acoustics and the aesthetics lie a deeper truth. This is a soft power made solid. The Opera House is part of a $200 million cultural infrastructure push, not to merely entertain, but to elevate China's global image. Alongside other art centers, museums, and design hubs, it broadcasts a message. China is not just a builder of bridges and factories, it's a curator of civilization. In the global arena, culture is currency, and with architects like Zaha Hadid and institutions like Guangzhou Opera House, China is printing it in stone. If you want to understand where a civilization is headed, look at what it builds upward. In Shanghai, the upward gaze leads to the Shanghai Tower, a gleaming spiral of glass and steel rising 632 meters into the clouds. The second tallest building in the world doesn't just scrape the sky, it slices through it with purpose. Designed with aerodynamics in mind, the building's twisting structure deflects wind force by 24%, reducing both sway and material fatigue. That alone cuts construction costs and improves longevity, a bold challenge to vertical engineering norms. But its brilliance doesn't stop at form. The tower's double-skin glass facade acts like a thermal blanket, insulating interior spaces while flooding them with natural light. The result? A 21% drop in energy usage, proving that height doesn't have to come with environmental compromise. Inside, the elevators are the fastest on Earth, traveling at 74 kilometers an hour, or 46 miles per hour. So fast that passengers experience mild pressure shifts in their ears. And they don't just go up. They glide like spacecraft through the tower's many zones. Offices, hotels, observation decks, and green sky lobbies that simulate outdoor gardens hundreds of meters above ground. But perhaps most symbolic is the building's central mission, to represent a 21st century megacity not limited by land, but liberated by verticality. The Shanghai Tower doesn't just symbolize progress, it embodies it, with green tech, smart systems, and social planning embedded in every floor. In a flat expanse just south of Beijing, something extraordinary emerged from the earth. Rising like a starfish stretching its arms towards the horizon, the Beijing Daxing International Airport is less a transportation hub and more an engineering marvel shaped by vision and velocity. Designed by Zaha Hadid architects, the structure spans a staggering 700,000 square meters, a footprint so vast it could house 98 football fields side by side. Yet despite its enormity, the design is astonishingly human-centric. No matter where a passenger enters the terminal, the longest walk to any gate is never more than 8 minutes. This was not an accident. It was intentional precision, an airport designed around the flow of people, not the storage of planes. Construction began in 2015. It opened in 2019, only 4 years later. In contrast, major US airports like LaGuardia or LAX take over a decade just to renovate terminals. But China didn't just build fast, they built smart. The Daxing Airport was conceived on a multimodal supernode. Beneath the terminal lies a high-speed rail interchange integrated directly with China's national network. Passengers can arrive from another province by train, clear security in minutes, and board a flight all within one continuously connected facility. This level of interoperability is rare even in Europe and virtually non-existent in North America. Capable of handling 100 million passengers annually, Daxing doesn't just move people, it moves economies. It streamlines cargo, it links rural regions to global markets, and it embodies the core belief in China's infrastructure ethos. Every building must serve the future, not just the present. Costing $63 billion, the airport is a statement, not just of scale, but of ambition. A declaration that infrastructure, when designed as art and executed with urgency, becomes far more than transportation. It becomes a symbol of national momentum. Spanning 2,298 kilometers from the capital Beijing to the megacity of Guangzhou in the south, the Beijing-Guangzhou high-speed railway isn't just the longest high-speed rail line on Earth, it is the backbone of a superpower. The journey that once took 22 hours by conventional train has been cut down to 8 hours flat. But this isn't simply about speed, it's about connectivity. The line stitches together 6 provinces, intersects with 80 cities, and serves a population that rivals the entire United States. And the figures behind it? Almost unbelievable. The project consumed over 60 million tons of steel, more than 8 times what was used to build the entire Golden Gate Bridge system. It cost an estimated $234 billion, yet already pays dividends in economic throughput. Freight, tourism, labor mobility, and regional trade have surged along its corridor. But there's a deeper layer beneath the tracks: strategy. By building a direct high-capacity route between industrial hubs and consumer megacities, China isn't just enhancing mobility, it's rebalancing its economy, distributing growth inland, and reducing dependency on coastal cities. It's part of a long-game plan to forge an interconnected domestic economy that cannot be fractured by external shocks. And it works. Small towns once isolated are now magnets for development. Tech parks have sprouted near stations, real estate has boomed, university collaborations and regional job opportunities have multiplied. This isn't just a train line, it is a spine, a literal and symbolic axis upon which the rest of China's infrastructure system pivots. In the span of just 2 decades, China has done what many nations would struggle to achieve in a century. It raised the colossal Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydropower project ever constructed by mankind, an engineering monument so vast it shifted the Earth's axis by a fraction. Along its vulnerable coastlines, it laid down more than 14,000 kilometers of fortified seawalls, a bulwark against rising tides in a warming world. Its high-speed rail network is now so extensive it could circle the globe and still have treks left over. Where once there were mountains, China carved entire cities. In Lanzhou and elsewhere, hills were flattened and landscapes redrawn to make way for vertical skylines and horizontal economies. What began as terrain became terrain conquest. Elsewhere, deserts were seeded with solar panels, creating shimmering oases of renewable energy. Abandoned land was reborn as fertile farmland. In the contested waters of the South China Sea, entire artificial islands rose from the ocean like steel and sand leviathans, bristling with ports, runways, and silent purpose. And within the megacities themselves, China built upward and outward simultaneously, erecting vertical cities designed to hold millions, wired together by horizontal smart grids that think, react, and adapt in real time. But perhaps the most staggering truth is this: China is no longer building just for itself. Through its Global Belt and Road Initiative, Chinese construction firms have reached across continents. They are laying rail through the forests of Southeast Asia, paving highways through the savannas of Africa, wiring ports and power stations across Eastern Europe. They're not simply exporting raw materials, they're exporting a model. This is the age of infrastructure maniac, and while the world watches, one nation keeps building, fast, wide, deep, and far beyond its borders. What's the one project in this video that completely blew your mind? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video with us, and catch you in the next one.